Good evening, everybody. This is Mason Sims, and welcome to another edition of our show. So today's the Epiphany. The wise men have finally come. So this will be the last day I have my Christmas decorations up, so they'll be coming down up here shortly. So joining us today is County Councilman and also current Chairman Chris Bowers. He is the County Councilman for the District 5 area, which pretty much covers the Easley city limits. And he will also be discussing today his upcoming term in addition to his current roles as chairman. So again, my name is Mason Sims. Let's get started. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of our episode. And here with me, I have Chairman, County Councilman Chris Bowers. And Chris, thank you for joining us here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I guess you and I are no strangers. We were once opponents for county council.
That's right.
So yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you again for another victory, and wish you the best of luck in your new term.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed getting to know you. I think the longest conversation we originally had, we were actually greeting together in that one place, which was fun. A lot of good conversation, and I enjoyed getting to know you as well there.
Yeah, it was good that some people might say that leave the park. I'm glad you got to meet her as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We go way back, didn't even know. So I've known her daughter for years and years. So,
and her husband, he used to be part of like the Gamecock Club.
Yes, that is correct. He was president of the biggest county Gamecock Club, I believe, for years. Actually, I'm sure has sold me some Chevrolets in the past and all the things. So it really is a small world we live in. Getting to know people that you didn't know that you knew, but you didn't know. It was very interesting, and it's the cool thing. You blink and you just people you know everywhere. So
yeah, it's amazing how much mutual connections do. Yeah, most people that reside in Easley, they probably know who you are and your family is by now. But those of you that don't, you just kind of like tell us about yourself and your duties as chairman.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am Chris Bowers. I've lived here in Easley for years. My family's owned an ambulance company. My dad actually started his ambulance company in 1986 when I was a little boy, and so I kind of grew up with it. Healthcare was always, what I knew I would get into. Felt like it was a calling, felt like it was a purpose, and I actually worked for the family business for several years. I worked for Greenville EMS for several years, became a nurse, been at the hospital here in Easley since 2008, which feels like just yesterday. But again, you blink and there's life, right? That's really the way it feels. So, been here, invested here, love what I do. Healthcare is my real job. That's what pays the bills. That's what allows me to do the other things that I enjoy doing. My family, like I say, we've grown up around healthcare. My grandfather was a pastor, still is a pastor. He retired and hadn't stopped preaching since. So that whole giving back and the servanthood is really what I've been brought up into and what I believe. And I believe we all have a higher purpose and a higher call. And I've just been lucky enough to serve my community, even on county council. I have been chairman the last 4 years. We have a reorg meeting tomorrow night. We'll elect our next chair tomorrow night. After we swear in the new council members. So excited about that and take us into the next few years of the fourth term.
Essentially, I didn't realize that was tomorrow night. I've got something to look forward to.
That's right. Tomorrow night at council chambers, we'll do our swearing in, and then we'll have our reorg meeting.
Well, sounds good. Does that usually take about the normal time of the county councilman last or second longer?
That one actually should be a little quick because the only thing on the agenda, it's actually two. The first is more ceremonial. The first meeting is more ceremonial, and that's the swearing in. And then the second meeting will be the reorg meeting, and our attorney actually presides over that meeting until we elect the new chair. So really his first action is to have us elect the new chair. And then once that happens, the new chair will then lead us to vote in a new vice chair and then a vice chair pro tem. And then the meeting's over.
Okay. So how do you think you can swear up since there's no people elected in the county council as far as getting reelected chairman?
Well, and I've actually put a lot of thought into it. I've spent the last 4 years as chairperson or chairman, and I've enjoyed it. I really have. I don't know that it truly matters. If the chairperson does it the right way, it doesn't matter who is in that seat because truthfully, it's the majority of council that that runs the county. The chairperson sets the agenda and runs the meetings. That's their two jobs. And there are ways to get things on the agenda if the chairperson doesn't want to. But I've never had anyone ask when I was chairman to put something on the agenda and me say no. In fact, there have been times where I didn't understand necessarily what they were asking for, but it wasn't my place to censor the agenda to keep them from speaking. So I don't know that it really matters who it's going to be. I have enjoyed the last 4 years, but I also know that it might be time for someone else. And there are some great folks on council, and I truly believe that they would do a wonderful job as chairperson of council, no matter who it is. So I honestly don't know that I would want another term as chairman, just to be quite frank and honest with you about it, purely to give someone else an opportunity to do that. I've spoken with Councilman Wallace about it. I think he would be phenomenal at it. I really do. I know Councilman Seda has been chair of school board in the past, and he's familiar with what the role is and how it works. So I think that there are obviously some good folks on council that I would be okay supporting.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I can imagine, regardless if the crowd is in favor of it or not, it's probably a challenge to get them settled in, because they definitely probably have to get seated and have strong opinions.
I was just saying, it actually can be a negative to be the chairperson, because while you do have to represent your folks, you do have to run the meeting. And sometimes in order to get good conversation, good discussion, you have to maintain balance and neutrality at times, because can't agree with everyone all the time. That doesn't mean we can't discuss it, right? And so that is one of the harder parts of being chairman, is to be open-minded enough to allow someone else to speak, to be fair, to have your mind made up, to be fair and allow the other side to speak, and then hold your vote and not argue against, if that makes sense. There are times that it is a little more difficult to be chairman, because you can't say or do everything you would want to say or do. You do know how you're going to vote, but you have to allow the meeting to take place. And you can't be as passionate as maybe you would want to be about a topic, because you have to have the overall goodness of the county in mind, if you will. I've had folks that I've served with that have flat said, I never want to be chairman, because I'm going to be able to say what I want to say and be as hard-nosed about it as I want to do and not be fair and equal. And I respect that. I really do respect that. But there are times where being chairman is not necessarily the best thing.
Right, especially those that attend the meetings. That, I guess probably keep in mind, try to get in the same control.
Sure.
Kind of, so I guess I will let them back in.
That's right.
Yeah. So during your time as county councilman, what are some of your greatest accomplishments and also your greatest defeat?
So looking back at county council in general, it's something that I really enjoy, and you don't realize when you're in the moment, you're not able to see it. It's not until you take a step back and you look and you realize, wow, we did this, or wow, we accomplished that, or whatever. Some of the greatest or some of the easiest, some of the hardest are phenomenal as well. And I think back, one of the very first issues we faced when I was elected was we had an animal shelter that we just didn't adopt animals. We had a county ordinance that did not allow for the adoption of animals out of that shelter. We would give animals to a handful of places if they would take them, and if not, every animal was euthanized. That wasn't okay with me. That wasn't okay with council. So we changed that ordinance. Now we have a freestanding animal shelter that is what you would call zero kill shelter, that adopts animals out every single day, that is accountable to the people. It's tax dollars that are accountable to the people. And before, we didn't necessarily have that. We would support organizations. So while the animal population isn't the most important thing in this county, it is a big part of what our county is. I'm proud of the work we've done there, and that was early on. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of work in the forefront for mental health and behavioral health here in Pickens County. Being in healthcare, I see it every day. A lot of folks don't though. You're in education, I know you see it every day. Mental health is a real problem in our county, our communities, and our country. And I would say our county has led the state for many years with suicide per capita. That's a problem. We have actually worked with the VA and have set the model, if you will, for other communities to use for mapping of services available to veteran service members and their families. The VA paid for every bit of that work. And it's something not only we able to use here, but like I say, it's used across the state. We were invited because of that work to participate with SAMHSA, which is the federal arm that handles mental health, to work on doing something similar for the general population, and then work on getting resource and knowledge out into our communities. Things like 988. A lot of folks don't know that there is a number, 988. If you feel like you're in a mental health crisis, or you just want to talk to someone, you are suicidal, or maybe just in a crisis situation, call 988 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Somebody's going to answer that phone. They're going to talk with you. They're going to help you. They're going to get you to the professional, whether it be a peer counselor coming out from the Department of Mental Health and meeting you where you are, or whether it be getting you to the hospital or to a crisis stabilization unit. You can call, you can even text. That's something cool that I was very honored to be a part of. When I think about beautification, those kind of things, but really remembering our history, because if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? Shortly after I was elected, a guy named Jim Garrison, who's going on in our community, came up to me and says, "Hey, want to do something special for Captain Kimberly Hampton. We've named the library after her, but we want to do something special there." And I've had some issues in the past getting folks on board. And so I went around to the community and I started asking folks, "Do you know who Kimberly Hampton?" I didn't say Captain, but do you know who Kimberly Hampton was? "Yeah, there's a night library named after her." I'm like, "That is correct. There is." "Do you know who she was?" And the number one answer that I got was, "Well, she's just probably an older lady that left money to the library system." And that was sad to me. That was embarrassing. And it told me loud and clear that we had to do something for folks around the Captain Kimberly afterwards. So work with the library board, work with Jim Garrison, and I'm pointing towards the library. Work with Jim Garrison, private group, raise the money, and they put the beautiful helicopter out there just like the one she flew in, so that folks will remember who Captain Kimberly Hampton is. That was a little thing. It didn't cost tax dollars, but I was able to be a part of that, and lead the community in that, or work with the community in that, to use the county property to do that. Again, that's something I'm very proud of. When I look at sustainability, our fire service across our county, shortly after being elected, Liberty Fire pretty much turned their service to the county. We didn't ask for it. They turned it over because they have the means necessary to keep it where it needed to be and how it needed to be. So we looked at it countywide, and now we finally have a sustainable way to fund fire service across this county. It shouldn't matter. If I live in the city of Easley, and I tell people all the time, and I'm going to get some hate from this, I'm sure, but it's okay. I have the best fire department in the county right here where I live. The city of Easley does a wonderful job. The folks in Davisville deserve the same thing. They deserve to know that when they call 911 for a fire truck, there's going to be a truck coming with people on it that have the equipment needed to put a fire out. And it shouldn't take 30 to 45 minutes for that. That should be one of those things. And so having a sustainable plan in place, putting our emergency services board in place, so that the overall big picture of the county is taken care of, that's a big deal to me. That I call that a win. I call that I could keep going, and I'm not going to because I could talk all night, because I have thought about it, because I truly am blessed to be a part of so much. I look at our emergency services. To me, trash, sewer, and emergency services are the core functions of government when you look at county government. I truly believe those three things. There are others that are important, but you've got to have those three. Somebody has to do those three things, or four things. And I feel like we've done a lot of work around that, and that's people. That's giving those people the tools and the equipment they need to do the job, and then having a sustainable plan to keep funding sources in place fair and equitably across the county.
Didn't the council just pass something to get another even session?
So we're building a brand new emergency services headquarters building. It will house EMS. It will house some of our emergency management equipment that's currently sitting outside the city, scattered across the county wherever we had a place to put it. It'll have it centralized, and then a new state-of-the-art dispatch center, because every emergency call starts with a dispatch. And truthfully, you got to do it right from there. And this is something that I did because I grew up in it. I've worked in it for years and years. I'm not a dispatcher. I could not do that job if I had to. They I am just blown away by our dispatchers. It's too stressful for me at times. And I usually do pretty well, but I just couldn't do it. A little bit of time in dispatch center is all I need to remind myself because I've had it. I've said I see, and they do the work they do is just phenomenal. And they deserve the tools and the resources to do their job because truthfully, when you need it, you need them to have what they need to help you because every call starts with them. Every call for help starts with them. That building, we just broke ground on it on February of 26. We should be in it. Should be about a year out on that. But we're really excited about that as well. And then we'll be moving our Pickens EMS station. We've had some issues there. They're currently in a temporary station. I'm working on a permanent solution for them as well. We were able to use ARPA money for that new emergency services building, all but a little bit. And some of it will come out of the general fund. But again, it gives us room to house EMS, who is in the old Inkle Jeep building out by the flea market. It'll give us training space. It'll give us space to get our equipment where it needs to be out of the weather, centralized where we need it. And then again, a dispatch center. And like I say, a little room for growth with dispatch because it's no secret that our community is growing and has been growing every day. So that's all part of it is being prepared, not just for today, but for tomorrow as well. And you ask defeats or failures. We've done a lot of work on the UDSO. We've done a lot of work on a lot of things. I wish we could have done a little more with the UDSO. I wish on so many levels that things, I think we're close, but I don't think it's perfect. But it's a living, breathing document. And when I talk about growth and when I mention growth, it made me think about the UDSO. There's still work to be done there. I guess I'm a little discouraged it took as long as it did, but I am encouraged that at least we started the process and that if it truly stays a living, breathing document, we're in a lot better shape than where we were when we started.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I remember at one of their county forums, they were mentioning the UDSO.
Yeah,
That was a big topic.
it really is. Yeah.
Yes, and the other thing I was going to mention too, one person that asked me no with Henry Wilson, Roy Costner losing. Does this tell you that the Pickens County residents, do they want change and didn't like the direction our county was in?
That's a hard question. I think obviously they lost, so and I won by 13 votes. So that means the voters that showed up that day, they definitely want to change. If anything, I also think it's an opportunity to plug. There were a lot of folks disappointed in November. They had wanted to vote, had one guy telling me he was going to vote for you, and I'm like, that's cool. I mean, you can write again, right? Because
Right.
our election was in June. And I think that there are a lot of folks that forget that or don't know that. But I definitely think, to your point, the voters that showed up in June, they want something different. And that's why we have elections, right? That is what it's about. So,
Yeah, and also for us, though, Roy Costner's thought that the argument with Todd referred as far as hard to beat. I was surprised that Scott Lane won the battle that he did.
Mr. Lane obviously got out and work, got his community behind him, and that's ultimately that's showed in the results.
Absolutely. Yeah, and hopefully with the new county council coming in, still continue to do great things.
Well, that's the goal. I got to meet Mr. Lang and oh my goodness, I just forgot his name. Dale Holloway. Yeah, Pastor Holloway, Reverend Holloway, Dr. Holloway, and had a good conversation with both of them. I think they both have good ideas. They're both in it for the right reason. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing future results.
Yeah, I'll wish you all the best of luck.
Yeah.
And another thing I was going to mention too is I know the library board candidate that I wanted also that you were going to get in as well as a conflict of interest with one of the other boards. She was being foster care board, so unfortunately she was able to get it. And I did read a few articles too in the Pickens Courier that expressed disappointment with Henry Wilson being appointed to the library board rather than someone that resided in District 5. So kind of like
Absolutely, absolutely, and we did discuss a candidate or a person that had shown interest, and I've had detailed conversation with her and thanked the world of her, and I appreciate her service to the community. No matter where it is, I feel like she's doing what she needs to do at the moment, and I respect it. I have filled up a lot of questions about Dr. Wilson and that woman. One thing our council rules do, and it's not unheard of, for folks to not reside in a district per se to represent that district there. It's not unprecedented at all. In fact, it happens on several boards and commissions. It's an appointment by a council member. It's the way that it's looked at, if you will. In fact, we have some boards and commissions that the person actually resides in Greenville County or Anderson County or even Oconee County, but their place of employment is in the district or in the county, and their knowledge is what is the pertinent information that they bring to the table. So they have a vested interest in the community. They have knowledge of the subject of the board that they're on, those kinds of things. Library board is no secret that it has been a very heated talking point lately for the last several years. We have nice libraries, but they need some maintenance. They've needed some things. Councilman said that pointed out some ADA compliance issues, I think, with the one in Pickens and things that kind of got overlooked or whatever. Got on the right track there. I feel like we're on the right track there. We came up with a plan with the library board to do those things as well as some other capital improvements. One of the things that, I'm not going to lie to you, one of my first years on council, the library came to us and they were operating in the red. They didn't have money. They were asking to borrow for operations. And we told them we would help them the first year, but don't ever come back and do it again. That you need to come up with a plan. Now, that was 3 or 4 library directors ago. That was library board members ago. Saying that, we've had a lot of conversation over the last couple of years about funding of the library, the way it's funded, the way it's ran, what council's expectations are for the type of material, for physical barriers, for all kinds of things like that. And while we have really good library board members, we have some library board members that maybe just didn't see the bigger picture that council was looking for. Also know that there have been some concerns over some meetings and things in the past of the library board or the way that things function and happen. One thing I know for sure is Dr. Wilson doesn't have any question on county council stands and their views, their desires, and their opinions of those things. Because I think we've all been very candid and clear. When you look at Dr. Wilson's resume, he did serve on the school board. He has served on various boards and commissions and committees and fundraising boards and those kinds of things. So he knows how to get out and get the work done. And there is a fundraising arm or a fundraising group that supports Friends of the Library, that's supposed to work closely with the library for those things that the county doesn't like or isn't going to do, right? And I look at his resume, what he's done, the kind of work he's done, and the fact that he knows what our expectation has been, that hasn't been met. Looks at the importance of protecting our children. Looks at those kinds of things. I know where Dr. Wilson stands on those things. He and us have agreed openly in meetings on needs to be this, not that. I mean, so there is no point. There were a lot of good candidates, friends of mine, folks that I've talked with since and continue to talk to. And once I kind of explained that to them, they all seem to understand where my thought process is. Because the one thing I do know for sure is we need some clear direction and some folks to step up and I don't want to say take control, but get a focus on the function of the library. And I have no doubt that Dr. Wilson, again, knows where county council stands on, which is the reason I went that direction in that. I did talk with a couple of council members prior to. I did make sure it was something that he'd be interested in. And of course he was. So I do understand the concern and the confusion. Some folks feel like the person has to live in the district. I think Dr. Wilson has proven, though, that he has the not just Davisville community at heart, but the betterment of our entire county at heart. The decisions made on that board does affect his community, affects my community, affects Liberty and Central and Clemson and Pickens and Norris. It's 6 mile long, right? And so I think that bigger picture that he's bringing to the table is what made him the candidate that I really supported.
Right. In his district, you guys, that's like city limits.
Well, his district isn't the city. Part of the district he was representing was already, the Rock Spring Churches is the line. Sackville Road was the line. The hospital is the line. So he was representing part of the city of Easley in his previous cities.
Good. Well, and he's actually going to be on my show too next week. So
Awesome.
I'd like to know what his plans are.
That'd be awesome. Yes. Yes. I'm excited. I really am. The other thing to remember about the library board is it is a volunteer board, right? These are citizens. They're not even paid for their service. They're trying to do what's right for the community based on. And I think that it's a powerful board. It's got a lot more power than people realize. I think sometimes it has a lot more control and power than they do. And one thing about it is I think Dr. Wilson understands how to help them understand what they're really responsible.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and also, I think people actually need to run forward with they do education. Just kind of, I don't know, still ain't no being a conflict of interest. Plus, it seems like it's pretty rally.
Yes, but I understand it can get around from time to time. It can. And I do think that most of our board members, I can't say all because I don't know, I think most of our board members have a good heart and the right intent, but between maybe communicating wrong or not communicating effectively or just not whatever, I mean, we're only seeing some of our frustrations really come to rise.
That sounds good. So, since we have you on the air, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers or sessions?
I'm truly honored to get to serve another term representing my community. It's something I really enjoy doing. I do have a daughter. She enjoyed it. She joked she's going to be the first female president. I got her up. She's got 30 more years, 40 more years before she's eligible. I've really been honored to serve. I'm tickled to death to continue to serve, and I really am looking forward to it. You know, I am human like everyone else, and I'm going to make mistakes from time to time, but I do things, truly do things for the right reason, and want to do things for the right reason, and that's so that there is a community here. So it looks like the one that I've grown up in for my daughter and her family. I want them to be here. I said that many years ago. Economic development was a big thing. We had an empty industrial park when I first started. Proud that it's full now, right? Of good jobs, good businesses. We've got other things going. But, you know, at one time, if you didn't want to work for the school district, the hospital, Clemson University, or the county, there wasn't a lot of options in Pickens County. And that's not true. We have some great businesses that call Pickens County home. And I said it then, I mean it now. My goal is to have this be a place that we're all proud of. We learn from our history, we remember our history, and we're proud of our history.
Well, it sounds great. And also, I saw that that building that's right by the Green Pivot Speedway seems like they're moving on pretty good.
So I actually drove through there the other day just to look at that. And there are 2 buildings up now, I believe. And excited, but I did see that on the Planning Commission agenda, their phase 3 and phase 4 up for discussion in January with the Planning Commission. So interested to see what that's going to be.
Absolutely. Now, as our county continues to grow, like control with it.
That's right. Responsible.
Yes, responsibly, and also continue to create jobs like it has been the past several years.
That's right. We have people, I love for them to stay here very much. We control responsible while protecting private property rights and freedoms. That's the balance in that you can find.
Yeah, great. 100%. Well, Councilman Bowers, I appreciate you coming on this evening. And if I happen to go to the swearing in tomorrow, I'll see you then again. And that concludes our show for this evening. If you have not already, please feel free to click, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for further updates. And also follow our Facebook page as well. Joining us next week will be Henry Wilson. He has served on the school board in the Croswell District, and he is also the former county councilman for District 6, which is the Davisville and surrounding areas of Easley. He's going to be sharing with us his upcoming assignments as one of the new members elected to the Pickens County Library Board. I hope that everyone has had a great start to their work week so far, and stay warm out there. So good night to everyone. Thank you again for watching, and God bless America. Thank you.